Today we're going to be talking about this keyword in Java. So the this keyword is actually pretty useful, but some people are like scared of it. They don't know what it does or how to use it. So right now I'm in a class called person, and I have two private variables. One's going to be a string, it's going to be a name. Another one's going to be an int and someone's age. Everyone has a name and an age. So this is like the constructor for the person class. Whenever we make our object, we're going to ask the user for a name, which corresponds to name. Username corresponds to name, and then user age corresponds to age. And these variables right here are the instance variables of the class. So let's make an object. We could say person, that's the name of the class. Ruben, which would be the name of the object, equals new person. So now it's expecting like two variables to be passed in, which is going to be a string and an int. So let's pass in Ruben for my name, and then the integer is going to represent like how old you are. So I'm going to do 23 because that's how old I am. And now Ruben is going to be stored into username, and 23 it's going to be stored into user age. So all what this does pretty much, it lets us have like the same name as the instance variables for the variables like in a constructor. So we could say string name and int age, and then we could say we could have something like this. But this itself won't work because it thinks we're referring to like the name of the parameters, right? It thinks it's referring to this variable right here. So if we say name equals name, it's going to be like null or 0. And if we say age equals age, it's thinking we're referring to this variable. So this is when we use this keyword. You can say this dot name, and you see how it lights up, and then this dot age. It's referring to like the instance variables like of the object or of the class. So it's saying this variable right here is going to equal name of like the person constructor. Remember, whatever like I typed in for the string, in this case Ruben, it would be stored in here, right? So let's think about it like Ruben's going to be stored into this variable name, and then that's going to get stored into this dot name, which is a private string variable called name. And the same thing with age. It may sound a little bit more confusing than it is. All it does, it lets us use the same name for our parameters as the instance variable. That's all it does. We could use it for constructors, or we could use it for like setter methods. So let's see. First, let's get a way to print my name. We could say public string, and we'll call it get name. All this method's gonna do is gonna return a name. Let's see if I can make this bigger. We're getting an error right here because it wants us to return something. We can add a return statement, and it should return name by default because that's the only like string variable. Now if we go back to the main method, we could call the name of my object, which would be Ruben. First, let's put it in a print statement so we could actually see what it prints out. We could do Ruben dot get name, and it's only going to return the name variable that we initialize in the constructor. And then if we run it, it's going to print my name right here. Say we want to change my name, we could use let's see, we could make another like method to do that. We could say public void, and we'll call it change name. In there, we're going to pass it a string from the main method, and we can call it name again. Remember, these, they could have the same name because it's like its own thing. We could say string name, and then we could say this dot name. Remember, this refers to the instance variables of like the class. If I like highlight this, it's going to refer to these variables of the class, not to like the variables of like the method, right? These are like how would I say it? These are like parameters being passed in. We can say this dot name equal to this parameter. It just lets us keep the same name because we could have it set to username again, and this would work. We would have to like think of a different name for the parameter. And what if we just put like X, right? We don't know what's being passed in. So instead, we could just have the name. So name is being referred to the parameter being passed in. This dot name is being referred to the instance variable private string name. And now if we call the Ruben object again, we can say Ruben dot change name. What should I change my name to? I'll name myself LeBron. It's my favorite basketball player. We can do LeBron. And then if I call this print statement again, it should print LeBron now. We'll print Ruben for the first print statement and LeBron for the second. So just remember, it lets us use the same variable name. It lets us use the same name as our like our instance variables, which would be these, as our parameter variables. That's all this does.